Spring is upon us, but it's still a little chilly, so I'm holding on to it as long as I can, and I want soup because I will not be trying to make soup in the summer. Today I wanted to go for like chicken noodle, but I kind of wanted to switch it up a bit, and I'm gonna make chicken and dumplings, but not the like Cracker Barrel chicken and dumplings. This is going to be the dumplings that my mom makes. It's like a batter, and you just kind of drop them in and they puff up and they cook in the broth. They get soft. She usually makes them with beef stew, but I felt like chicken soup today, so that's what I'm gonna make. I'm gonna prep my veggies, get the chicken ready, get it in the pot. Sounds like a plan. Let's get started. These were some very large-breasted ladies, and so I'm not making a whole ton of soup, and I'm just gonna use one chicken breast because it's pretty big, but I did roast this before. I'm just gonna cut this up into little pieces. Of course, you can shred it if you want to. Do whatever you want. All right, I've got all my prep done. Chicken, I did a couple of sweet onions, probably a teaspoon or so of ginger, fresh, finely chopped, a couple of celery stalks, and a couple of carrots. I am going to saute these veggies real quick. It's an extra step that I like to do. You don't have to do that. You can always just put the broth on, let it boil, pop the veggies in. They'll cook, but I like to saute them. I think it gives them a little extra flavor. Over to the stove. I'm gonna let these saute for just a couple of minutes. I don't want them to be done. I just want them to get a little soft and get a little bit of that flavor. It already smells divine in here. I'm putting some green onions in my dumplings, and so I'm just gonna put the whites in here and use the greens in the dumplings. Last minute addition. These have been going for a bit, and I think I want to add my liquid, so I like to use bone broth and some chicken stock. A lot of people like to use water. I'm a bit of an animal and I like to use all stock. But if anything is too salty for you, you can always get low sodium broth and just add more water. This is just how I do it. I'm gonna raise the heat up to like a medium high, give this a stir, and bring this to a boil. I'm gonna cover it so that it doesn't reduce too much. While this is coming to a boil, I think that it's time to start thinking about what starch you want to use. You don't have to use any, of course, but I think that it's a must. I am usually good for pasta, rice, or barley. I had some leftover alphabet pasta from when I made my alphabet soup, so I'm gonna pop some of that in there. One thing to think about when you are adding starch though, think about the consistency that you're going for in your final soup. Do you want it thinner or thicker? I like mine a little on the thick side, so I put the pasta in raw and it cooks in the liquid, so it's going to absorb a lot of liquid. But if you don't, I would boil your noodles or your rice or whatever you're using, and then dump it in here when it's either all the way cooked or partially cooked, so that it doesn't absorb so much of that liquid. And this has been my TED Talk. I've got this up to a rolling boil right now. I'm going to lower the heat to like a medium, and I'm going to cover this again, but just partially. And I'm gonna let this go for like 20-ish minutes. I just wanna get all those flavors in there, cook the vegetables enough, and then I'm gonna add my pasta. I'll let that go until it's done, and then it's time to put the dumplings in. So there's a little bit of a process. Time to make these dumplings. Like I said before, they are not your traditional dumplings like chicken and dumplings. They are more of a drop biscuity kind of dumpling. So delicious. And in here I have the secret ingredient that comes out perfect every time. Good old Bisquick. My mom always uses Bisquick. It always comes out great. Give it a try. I just have a couple cups in here. Then comes some milk. This is just some whole milk. I'm going to add my scallions in here. I'm gonna add everything before I mix because I don't want to over mix these. Some black pepper and a little salt. Give these and mix around. You want to mix them until they are just incorporated. They are just mixed, as you can see, a good gloppy dough. I'm gonna leave these here until they are ready to be plopped into my liquid. And these are the last thing that goes into the soup before you wanna eat. This has been going for 15-20 minutes. I brought it back up to a hard boil, and I did end up adding some more liquid in here because I thought it was kind of low. So now is time for my pasta. I probably added too much. Oh well. Give this a stir, and whenever you add these noodles in, make sure you are stirring constantly so they don't stick to the bottom and burn. I have learned the very hard way. It's very upsetting, so trust me, keep it moving. I'm also gonna add my chicken back in right now. The pasta is just about there. It's thickened up beautifully. I can tell by the sound and the look of things that she's thick, which is what I want. So now that this doesn't have to constantly be stirred for fear of pasta sticking to the bottom, I'm gonna add my dumplings. I'm just gonna put little golf ball sized, kind of just plop them in there. And these will get bigger. They don't have to be perfect. They're really good when they're all craggy edged and delicious. These are gonna cook for 10 minutes uncovered, and then I'm gonna cover it for another 10 minutes, and then we will be done. Also lowered the heat to like a medium. Time to cover these babies, another 10 minutes, and we will be done. Time is up, and the big reveal. Oh my goodness gracious, that is soup, and those are dumplings. We're ready to rock and roll. I'm gonna turn the heat off and plate it up. This thing is still burbling. It's got those deep, thick bubbles, and you can tell the broth is super thick from the pasta and the dumplings. This smells unbelievable. All right, go for a dumpling first. Can you see this color? Oh, wow. That is some comfort in a bowl. I may regret this, but I'm sorry, mouth, you're just gonna get burnt because I need to have some of this now. I'll be careful, but it's just like a pillow of fluffy deliciousness. Scared. Oh my goodness. Oh, it's burning and going down. Ah. Even though I have just killed my mouth, that is so good. The broth is so thick and creamy from the pasta and the dumplings. Oh yes, it's so velvety. Oh, it's just like coating my mouth. That is some good soup. It's perfect for a cold spring day when it's still kind of wintry. If you're sick, eat this. It will make you feel just warm and comforted. Always reminds me of my mom when I have dumplings, and they're just so good. You have to make this. It's really good. Enjoy.